All right, what's up, everybody? Clayton Sayfie with EJ Holland here from thewolverine.com. Remember to head to thewolverine.com if you're not a subscriber. Use promo code BLUE60 for 60 free days. This episode of the Wolverine TV, we're talking about early enrollees who can make an impact in a possible spring season. If that's what happens, nobody really knows. A lot of rumors out there on when Michigan could next take the field, but if those early enrollees are there, they're being told that they're going to be eligible to play. So there's some guys that could possibly get in there, especially if you have guys move on to the NFL. Receivers like a Nico Collins or a defensive end like Kwity Paye could possibly opt out of that season and head straight to the NFL. So, EJ, you've seen just about every kid in this class. I think all but one, Dominic uh, Jadis, who you're going to see this upcoming weekend. So, you've seen these guys, you've seen them up close, most of them in game. Your thoughts on who could possibly impact the earliest? And I know number one on your list is the guy right behind you, the Flash, Xavier Worthy. Top 100 kid now, got a huge ratings bump. Why do you think he could impact Michigan's roster early on?
Yeah, no, I think Xavier, despite his weight being a little bit of an issue, in the Big Ten, you need to bulk up and be a little stronger than Worthy is right now. But I don't think that's going to be much of a concern once he gets in Michigan's strength and conditioning program. Worthy is the perfect fit for Michigan's offense. I mean, you talk about speed and space. That's what Josh Gaddis has brought to Ann Arbor, and that's the reason he recruited Xavier Worthy. You have to remember that Xavier Worthy wasn't always a top 100 player. He was just a lowly 3-star, but Michigan made him a priority super early because Josh Gaddis identified him and saw the traits that he wanted in Worthy for his offense. And I think Xavier is a guy that is going to be a dynamite in the slot. He's not necessarily an AJ Henning type, a guy that's built like a running back that can be put in the backfield, that's a little bigger. He's a little on the taller side. He's about 6 foot, 6'1". He's longer, has really long legs, kind of looks more like a sprinter than he does a football player. So think more of a Deshaun Jackson type is who he's drawn a lot of comparisons to. I think he can be a killer in the slot, but I also think he can line up out wide. I think you can run some end arounds, some reverses. You can do, some play action jet sweeps off of him, and you can also use him in the return game, both as a punt returner and kick returner. I know his good friend Giles Jackson handles a lot of that work as well, but I think putting them both back there would be pretty dynamite as well. So Xavier Worthy, just based on offensive fit and skill set, is the guy that comes to mind right away.
Yeah, he's definitely electric with the ball in his hand. So if he gets that opportunity, I could definitely see him making an impact. If Xavier Worthy's number one, 1A would be Junior Colson on the list here. Another dynamic player. You mentioned the return game for Xavier Worthy. Junior Colson a couple weeks ago had a kick return for a touchdown. So this kid can do it all, but specifically linebacker, defensive side of the ball. He could play the Viper spot. He could play the Will. He could play the Mike, and just an all-around, another top 100 kid, but just an all-around very, very good player who's physically ready, it looks like right now, to come in and make an impact. Why Junior Colson as a guy that could step in?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, the versatility, his ability to play anywhere in Don Brown's scheme. I mean, when I went out and watched him live in Nashville, he came off the edge, which I had never really seen from Junior. I saw him in game last year as well, and he played more of a traditional inside linebacker role. This time around, he was coming off the edge. He's a guy that has elite speed for his size. You also mentioned the kick return. I mean, that was pretty impressive in itself. I mean, he not only looked bigger than all the other kids on the field. I mean, he was way faster than them too. So
Mm-hmm.
he has great size. He has the ability to be a Viper, which is where they are recruiting him at. But he can also play the Will. He can also play the Sam. He can also come off the edge. There's just so much you can do with him. He's so talented that I think he's just going to be hard to keep off the field, especially in a spring season when guys are opting out.
Yeah, definitely. Next on the list would be Christian Dixon, another wide receiver. We talked about Xavier Worthy, but they're different styles. And I mentioned earlier, Nico Collins could be a guy who would possibly opt out of that spring season, start preparing right away for the NFL. Christian Dixon is that bigger type of receiver, big body that can go up and get the ball, more of a possession type receiver. So he could possibly step into that role. There's other guys, and Michigan's really starting to accumulate that depth there at the wide receiver position. But Josh Gaddis has got to like a little bit of a mix up, from a guy like Xavier Worthy and just a speedster and a guy that can do it all like Worthy. But you got Christian Dixon who can go up and get the ball, make some tough catches. Your thoughts with Christian Dixon there being a guy that could step in the spring?
Yeah, so with Dixon, a couple things come to mind. Well, one, you said earlier Nico Collins could be a guy that potentially opts out, so Dixon could slide into that role or at least get into the rotation in that role. The second thing, I think Dixon is one of the worst evaluated recruits in the class, not from a ranking standpoint, but from a skill set standpoint. I've seen Christian probably the most out of any of the commits in the class other than JJ McCarthy because I covered him before I was even on this Michigan beat when he was a younger kid. So he's not Marcus Allen. Like a lot of people are like, oh, well, he's just a big guy on the outside. He's not Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen weighs 205 pounds and he's going to weigh 215 to 225 when he's at Michigan. Marcus is going to be the big receiver people think about when they look at Christian Dixon. Christian doesn't build his game around his physicality or his size, which is something that I've written in the negative category about Christian, actually. I would like to see Christian use his size more and be more aggressive, be more physical, use his size to his advantage. Christian builds his game around being a technician. He runs really, really good routes for his size. I think he's an elite level route runner, especially given his size. His cast radius is tremendous. It's beautiful when he does a full out extension to catch a ball. It's really awesome to see. And he has great speed for his size. People don't realize how fast Christian is. It doesn't look like it on tape, but when you see him in settings like private workouts and 7-on-7s, he can stretch the field. He can get vertical. He can go over the top. So there's a lot of versatility about his game. He's not Marcus Allen again. He's not a big physical guy. And Marcus runs really good routes too. But I think Christian is a level ahead of Marcus in that category right now. And Marcus is going to be a regular enrollee where Christian's going to have a chance to go in and play if there is a spring season. So I don't think Marcus and Christian are interchangeable. I think Marcus brings that physicality. He wants to dominate people. He wants to shove guys into the ground when he blocks in the run game. Christian's more finesse, more speed, more of a Keenan Allen type. Even though Keenan Allen's not the fastest guy, he's a taller guy. That's one of the best route runners in the NFL. And so I think if I had to make an NFL comparison for Christian, it would be Keenan Allen, who can occasionally stretch the field, that has the size, but works more so as a technician than a big physical guy.
And the guy who's going to be throwing him the ball at the next level, at least down the road, checks in next on our list. It's interesting. We looked at the list of commitments and who's going to enroll early and who could possibly make this impact. You don't see a lot of names on the defensive side of the ball that come to mind. So JJ McCarthy, he's going to impact that quarterback room right away from Michigan, whether that means he gets on the field and a lot of guys opt out and they really rotate a ton of guys. I mean, we don't know. No one really knows what a spring season is going to look like. But one thing's for sure, JJ is going to make that room better. He's going to push Joe Milton. He's going to push Dylan McCaffrey, Cade McNamara, all those guys. Why does JJ check in for you on this list of guys that could impact early?
Yeah, I think, Michigan obviously has two viable options in Milton and McCaffrey at quarterback, so it's going to be hard for JJ to get on the field, but he's such an elite level talent that it's going to be hard for him to not see the field. And fans are going to be putting the pressure and clamoring for JJ to get in right away. You saw it in the opener at IMG Academy. A lot of people were excited to see what JJ could do on a national stage. He goes out and throws for more than 300 yards and makes some spectacular throws that high school seniors don't normally make. He has the arm talent. He has the leadership abilities. He embodies everything you want at that quarterback position. At worst, JJ is going to help push McCaffrey and Milton, help them in the quarterback room. JJ has a very high football IQ. He's always studying the game and the position. So that's worst case. But potentially he's a guy that does get some snaps, especially in what could be a very odd spring season. And I think JJ, if he gets the opportunity, I mean, you have to watch out because he can get on the field and take over that position pretty quickly, despite what Michigan does have on the roster. I'm not saying he's going to go out there and beat Milton and McCaffrey, but the talent is there for sure.
Definitely. And rounding out the list, number 5, the only 6-star in Michigan's class, Tommy Doleman, the punter, kicker, highly acclaimed over there out of St. Mary's in Orchard Lake, Michigan, but an in-state kid, a kid who's vocal, trying to get other kids to join the class. He's been a great addition to this Michigan 2021 recruiting class. But why Tommy Doleman? I mean, for me, it's like, hey, they're going to roll these balls out. They're going to let them compete. Tommy Doleman, if he's kicking it the farthest in terms of punting, if he's pinning balls within the 10-yard line, then Tommy Doleman's going to get on the field. You have Will Hart there. You have Brad Robbins at the punter spot. You have Jake Moody and Quinn Nordine kicking. But punter and kicker is one of those positions that if you are, consistently making your kicks and making good punts in practice, you're going to get on the field. And I know you've seen Tommy Doleman on multiple occasions. Why do you feel that he has at least a chance to do that?
Yeah, so I think Tommy is going to be a really good combo guy at the next level. I think he'll eventually handle kicking and punting duties for Michigan. It seems like the punter position is a little more open from a competition standpoint than maybe kicker. And I think Tommy's a better punter than he is a kicker. And I think he would lean that way if he had to pick one. So I think that plays to Tommy's strengths. And Michigan recruited him for a reason. They offered him a full scholarship for a reason. I mean, it's not often, specialists get full rides. And so I think that Michigan really values Tommy. Michigan's special teams assistant, Tyler Brown, played an important role in getting Tommy. And I know he wants Tommy to compete right away. And like you mentioned, some of the specialist services have him ranked as a 6-star guy because he's so unbelievably good. He has invitations to the All-American Bowl and the Under Armour All-American game. So he is an elite player at what he does. Even though he's a specialist, he's as good of a specialist as you can be. So he is an early enrollee. That's what we're covering today, and I think he can potentially go out there and win the punting competition. To be honest, he's that good. And again, Michigan didn't just offer to offer. I mean, they offered this guy because they believe he's the best in the country at what he does.
No doubt. So our list is Xavier Worthy, Junior Colson, Christian Dixon, J.J. McCarthy, and Tommy Doleman as 5 guys who could come in the spring for Michigan in a possible spring season and get some reps, get on the field, get some experience early, and make an impact. Clayton, Sayfie, E.J. Holland here from the Wolverine.com on this episode of the Wolverine TV. And remember to use promo code BLUE60 over at the Wolverine.com for 60 free days of our premium content. We'll see you guys next time.